From the port of Barcelona, a fleet of civilian boats is preparing to set sail towards Gaza in what organizers describe as their largest mission yet to challenge Israel's blockade.
A group of 39 boats known as the Global Sumud Flotilla is sailing from Barcelona to deliver aid to Gaza.
This mission aims to break the siege and open a humanitarian corridor.
Markham Rayan, Palestine Hodra, and this is episode 25 of the Vegans for Palestine podcast. Mi Hao Lee is a Spanish-Korean actress, audio-visual producer, and activist known for her anti-racist advocacy, her support for Palestinian solidarity movements, and her intersectional approaches in linking social justice, decolonisation, and veganism. At the moment of recording, Mi Hao Lee was actually speaking to Dalal on board the Sumud Flotilla, which is attempting to break the apartheid colony's siege upon the Gaza Strip. In their conversation, the two connect Palestinian liberation with veganism, anti-racism, and anti-speciesism, arguing that all forms of oppression are interconnected and that justice must extend to both human and non-human animals.
In this episode, you will notice the conversation ends a little earlier than expected. Our recording was cut short because Mi Hao Lee had to leave suddenly to continue filming for her documentary while on board. Because there was so much more we wanted to discuss, we will be releasing part 2 of this conversation very soon. Stay tuned.
The quality of this recording isn't the best considering that it was taken on board a humanitarian flotilla that happened to be in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, but we hope that you nonetheless enjoy listening to this episode and that it prompts you to think about how we can collectively support the Sumud Flotilla and other humanitarian initiatives. Enjoy this one.
Yeah, I was saying that it's been a long time since we spoke last. So, yeah, like it was in June last year. Yeah, it's been a while. How have you been?
Well, many things happen in between, personal, professional, and political and geopolitical. And so we're still here. So, mashallah. And sadly, the genocide continues in Palestine. The annexation of new land in West Bank, they part as well. The war in Iran, the attacks in Lebanon, many things around, no? Me, I'm on the middle of the Mediterranean Sea on a mission, doing one more thing to fight against the imperialism and this system that oppress not only Palestinians but the entire world, even if the world thinks so. I don't know. Let's begin. Let's you choose a theme and let's go ahead and let's see what happens in this conversation between two vegans. Sounds was weird. We just saw a cow floating in the Mediterranean Sea, and I'm a bit shocked, I have to say, because people was surprised. Oh, poor cow, poor cow. And the first thing I thought was not poor cow, was fuck human. No, the cow didn't arrive to the Mediterranean Sea alone. It's like what the humans are doing. What are we doing? A cow in the middle of the sea. And it happens with the genocide as well, and with many other things, important things, no? Like poor Palestinians. No, poor Palestinians, no. Fuck Israel, in any case, no? And so it's, I think, I really believe everything happened for a reason. And I don't know how, before our meeting, our first time meeting face to face, I saw a cow floating in the Mediterranean Sea. Before a podcast, a vegan podcast. It's like, it's crazy, but take it, no? Let's take it.
Yeah, that's the first thing we started off this conversation with is you telling me about a cow floating, and my jaw is dropping, and I can't even believe what I'm hearing in the middle of the sea, in the middle of this vast open water. And I have so many questions in my head, but do people actually think anything about it other than really just saying, oh, poor cow? They don't even think for themselves what really, as you just said, like, what is the cow even doing here? What really brought the cow to this place? When they should...
It comes out, A couple of theories like, oh, maybe she was sick with something contagious in a cargo ship and they decide to throw, or I don't know what else they say. No, thinking about no, let's resolve the enigma. I only saw humans doing shit. As always.
Yeah, that's.
Can I say shit in your podcast? I'm sorry.
You can say whatever you want. Honestly,
Okay.
if there is whatever you say, that's something we only take out the parts that you say that you don't want this part in the podcast.
Okay.
And so yeah, but yeah, honestly, unless it's like something that you don't think you would be comfortable saying.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so let's give some context to you being in the middle of the sea right now. And I have a lot of questions to ask you, but I understand that maybe you would want to share certain parts of this journey that you're doing. So whatever you're comfortable with and you share, can you tell me more about the mission you're on right now and how that is really activism that aligns with your veganism and what you really advocate for all the time. So if there is, if you could tell me more about that.
Okay. So I'm in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, in somewhere between Barcelona and Gaza, and very close now to the Greek waters. We just left 3 days ago the Sicilian port of Augusta, where we stopped a couple of days to join with the Italian delegation of this mission. I'm going to talk about it. And also to prepare some boats because we are in a humanitarian, non-violent, solidarity, collective mission to break the siege in Gaza that is happening for almost 18 or 19 years already. And it's the second edition of this mission called the Global Sumud Flotilla, spring 2026. What I am doing here? Well, I don't like to say, to use the word activist for myself, but obviously I'm doing activism. Um, but I'm here because I'm a human being. I'm responsible of things that happen around me, of each of us. And I decided to speak up and loud uh, for the liberation of Palestine since the so-called beginning of the genocide after October 7. Before October 7, I was maybe with more low profile in the social media or in the media in general. I'm a kind of public figure, not a very famous person, but I work in audiovisual. So my social media was mostly to share some personal and professional sometimes things, but not for advocate for example, for anti-racism. That was maybe my principal theme all around the things I do. I'm half Korean, half Spanish, and I was born in Spain. And I was the only immigrant in the place I was born. So obviously, I suffer in my skin the racism of the ignorant people who was around me. And yes, I suppose I've been advocating for that, for this racism, since I was a kid, because it's the thing you have to do if you want to survive and to fight the injustice. Um, and then I started study late in my 30s, audiovisuals, and I continue the fight through my career, which is by basically writing or developing projects. Or now I'm executive producer in a company, in a very good company in Barcelona, and I have a mission there as well. And once you realize all the oppressions against the minorities or the global south or the people different because of the color, of the ethnicity, the culture, the religion, the gender, the philosophy is the same. Uh, you connect the dots and you don't fight. Even if you fight with love, is a fight. You don't fight only for a reason. No, you fight for all them. No? For anti-speciesism, anti-racism, anti-capitalism, anti-imperialism, anti-Zionism, and, uh, and yeah, the liberation of everyone is going to be the real liberation, and not only humans, Habibi, not only humans. Uh, People talks a lot nowadays about Eurocentristic or um, white supremacists, but they don't talk a lot about the speciesism, and it's all connected. It's all connected because we cannot not support and we cannot believe the oppression in other humans now. Some of us, not all, but we maybe people don't care about the animals, no? And this is not fair. This is not fair. So I suppose now I just doing all together as I can in my humble position in the world, which is now without shoes and and in a boat in a regular boat for passengers, not a big boat for humanitarian missions, trying to break the siege in Gaza. Very proud of that. Very proud of being part of this mission, which is the next step of a mission I was before. I've been in the March to Gaza in 2025, last June, and after the government of Egypt blockade us, and we have to stop the mission, the organization starts preparing the new one because they realize they mobilize thousands of people to fly to Cairo with our own resources to then stay walking for 20 days minimum until we reach the border of Rafah in Palestine. And they saw we were there ready to break the siege, to open the borders, to get in all the trailers are there with tons of humanitarian aid, the so-called humanitarian aid that are food, medicines, needs, basic needs, and yes, the organization start thinking about something bigger. Also, Bisan Oda said because it was the same time the March to Gaza was at the same time of the Hamdallah mission, and when Hamdallah was intercepted, Bisan Oda said in a video like, "You guys have to send no one boat. You have to send hundreds of boats." So this was like the no the fire to make this mission happen. I think.
Actually, we are all, by the way, saying this in Gaza. Why we don't have 20 flotilla, 20 boats, a flotilla with like 20 boats, at least one or two weekly. هلا, the Israelis can stop one, can stop two. Yes, they can arrest the third boat crew. Yes, they can prevent the fourth. Yes, they can try to make, to switch the cards and to call their governments for the fifth boat, but they can't stop 10, 20, 30. And just imagine if these are at the same time with other convoys by land, like what is moving now from Tunisia, Algeria, through Egypt, North Africa, towards Rafah crossing. Maybe they won't be able to just break the siege, but they will be so loud and they will just open a new horizon for everyone to do a new thing. I mean, it's 20 months of doing the same thing without any other results. Now it's the real time to do a new thing to expect a new results. So yeah, we are just waiting.
So we are here like trying to listen Palestinian voices or some Palestinian voices calling us for action, for escalation, for it's not enough to go to the streets now to scream free Palestine, free Palestine. We do it already. We do it also, but we need to escalate. So this is one of the actions we do to escalate. So there are like now we are like more than 600 people in 60 boats, more or less, and we are gonna connect with the Greek delegation now. We don't know yet if it's in a port or if they are gonna reach us sailing, and then also with the Turkey delegation. So we are gonna be more or less 100 boats with more than 1,000 people trying to break the siege, and not only. It's a call for action for mobilizing people all around the world because there are people here from more than 70 countries, and that means that we can mobilize the entire world with 100 votes. So the mission is important, of course, but we are only the finger who points the moon. The moon is Gaza, Palestine, and the people has to follow the finger, mobilize for Palestine, no, to against Israel. Mm.
And you're also vegan as well, and you're an artist, and you have different things that you do outside of what you're doing right now. Are there other vegans like yourself on the flotillas? And if not, how is this different from the other missions that you did before? I mean, with reference to last year's, Gaza mission that was supposed to be, hidden to from Egypt to Gaza. How was this one today and these days different from the previous one and the other ones that you did before? And how important is that for you as a vegan as well?
Change the scenario a bit, change the the media coverage because it's more performative, more people is curious about this mission because never happened before. No? The maximum boats sailing towards Gaza the last year were 3, and normally only 1 in different missions. Mobilizations in land is normal to have thousands of people mobilizing for a cause, any cause in the world. But at sea, it's weird. And also, I have to say, a couple of days ago, we did an action in the sea, trying to change the course of a big cargo ship with materials towards Israel with iron and pieces for the war machine. And was the first action never happened at sea. So first of all, the different I have to say is like at sea and unites people from all around the world and is very spectacular. But in terms of the the message and the core of the mission, it's more or less the same that I met I knew in March to Gaza. Relation with veganism, I have to say I'm so happy to be testimony that all the food we carry in the boats for us is vegan. So here, everybody eats vegan. Maybe some individuals bought some eggs or some cheese at land personally, but the organization gave everybody vegan food.
Is that
This is
a certain reason? Is there a reason for that?
Yes, it's because of inclusivity. Because everybody can eat vegan meal, and not everybody can eat non-vegan meal. So this is a step in the no? In this kind of missions, and they are pioneros. No, I don't know how to say in English. They are like kind of they are opening these doors on the organization because in the organization there are many voices who are vegan and who are Palestinian, and I think I'm super happy, super proud of this decision. And the people, they understand, like, oh no, I cannot stay without eat meat, and they can. So they learn they don't need to eat meat, fish, or animal protein every day, 3 times per day during a month, and they are gonna survive.
And I honestly also understand that it's not just about the food. I think it makes, I mean, for me, I think it would make a lot of sense that when people are eating vegan and they are on the mission, being active and vocal and advocating for a just cause and speaking up for justice and liberation for people, it makes sense that an event with such importance around justice and solidarity and liberation and the care for other humans, yeah, like when you serve food, it's also the message, at least this is how I interpret it, that it really shows the values, and the values that you really stand by. So it's not just it's not just random that you say things and you don't really show things in practice. So yeah, that's amazing. That's one step towards inclusivity and also towards justice and liberation.
Yeah. You
And
said that. I take it for granted, but you say that. Thank you. Of course, you cannot advocate for liberation and fight against oppression, and then accepting other kind of oppressions as speciesism. So I think because of that, no, the decisions from the organization, even if this is many of the times is an horizontal chain of decisions. Obviously, in huge things like that, must be like a steering committee in this case. And I'm super happy of the values of the steering committee. Wasn't has no coherence if, as you said, as you mentioned, you fight for the liberation of some group of humans and not for others or for other species. So yes, absolutely.
You've probably come across the Arabic word sumud these days on your feed. It is joining other words such as intifada and kufiya that have made their way into dictionaries and literature across the globe from within the Palestinian struggle. The Global Sumud Flotilla is the biggest grassroots humanitarian fleet ever, an initiative to break the siege of Gaza with more than 60 boats sailing and hundreds of volunteers from 44 countries carrying food and medicine, risking their lives to reach the besieged Palestinians. Sumud, in classical Arabic, means steadfastness, continuous perseverance. In the Palestinian context, however, it doesn't really have a fixed definition. It is rather a dynamic concept that represents the daily struggle to continue living under impossible conditions. It can be an act of nonviolent resistance that may seem invisible and silent, but it is a deep resilience, rooted in love for life in the face of oppression and dispossession. It signifies the commitment to remain on one's own land and not be erased. It can go from a seemingly simple act, such as going to work or to school every day, despite the checkpoints and the harassments, to replanting an olive tree, such a symbolic connection with the land, because the trees are being ripped out by illegal foreign settlers, all the way to surviving an asymmetric battle with the colonizer without necessarily winning it in the military sense. Shield your wheat from the hurricane with a nailed chest. Bring the fence from the chests. How can it be broken? من الصدور فكيف يكسر. That's Mahmoud Darwish, Palestine's most famous poet, evoking a biblical reference. Grab the necks of the ears of wheat just like you embrace a dagger. The earth, the farmer, and the persistence. Tell me, how can they be conquered? How could these three ever be conquered? هذه الأقانيم الثلاثة كيف تقهر.
And you mentioned something about how the media shifted the narrative around Palestine, and I'm only thinking about the very first time we had our call, and you were saying something about that there are words that are, there is a lot of taboo or sort of what was it? We were saying something about how, there are stigma words, or there is stigma around certain magic words that you expressed before, and how there is a label around people who say that they're vegan, they're pro-Palestine, they're pro-solidarity, liberation, and how these words often trigger reactions, before any substantive engagement. How has this shifted or changed for you since we?
Thanks a lot. This question is a good question. Yeah, good. Thanks. In this time, in this year, I have to say, yes, there was a lack of information at that moment last year. Because of that, the mission was so important, the March to Gaza. The media was scared to use not scared. They have interest. It's not fear. They have interest, and until it doesn't become popular, no, they don't say now we can use that word, no, words as genocide, extermination, ethnic cleansing, speciesism. Uh, yes, and there was a point, no, last year in May, for example, 1 year ago. Then I have to say, media starts to wake up because not because they wanted, because the mobilizations. I think after the March to Gaza, were changed, the scenario changed a lot in the world. There were incredible, huge mobilizations all around the world, from Asia to the States. Remember me, the 2024 with the encampments, for example, no? There has been like this, no? Since October 7, no? Because they control the narrative. So,
Yeah, it was
and
went up and down. Yeah.
yes. So when they try to calm down, and then something has to happen to put in this case Gaza in the center again, and then again they start to talk because they cannot avoid, because they are representing us also. Apart of that, in the special case of Spain, of my prime minister, Spain took a position at a point in this year, uh, took a position recognizing Palestine, doing some actions during Eurovision music contest, which was put the TV on black with a message that we don't support genocide while the Israeli was singing. And yes, trying to walk some steps to ban the arms trading with Israel. All these things came out last year, so this is important. But again, after the first mission of the Global Sumud Flotilla, when all the boats were intercepted, was around October 1st, more or less. They were released, everyone, less one person, were released by October 6th. October 8th, when everybody was speaking out for Palestine, on October 8th, they reached the peace plan, the plan of peace. No, the United States of America and Egypt and Jordan, or I don't know, in Qatar, we have the peace, we have the peace. What happened then? Everybody, it's done, it's done. They continue, they break the ceasefire the day after. They say there was a ceasefire, and but nobody knew nobody knew. And I had conversations like, but why are you protesting, why you still sharing all the time on internet and on Instagram? There's peace already, no, sorry. And I have to explain to me and all the cameras out there, no, there's no peace plan. This was like a strategy to calm down all the mobilization after the first flotilla, first global Sumud Flotilla. So this second mission is not another edition of the president of the first one. First of all, there are more boats, more people, but also the boats are filled with important figures that are medical workers, eco builders, professors, journalists, film workers, and I don't know what I was saying. What are you looking? What's that? Dolphins? Yes. Yeah, I'm on a podcast. Dalal, let's see these dolphins.
Is every boat on the Global Sumud Flotilla carrying humanitarian aid?
Every boat is carrying humanitarian aid.
Activists make final preparations, loading supplies, checking equipment, and saying their final goodbyes before departure.
Named after a Gazan fisherman, the Global Sumud Flotilla will be comprised of about 100 vessels seeking to break the Israeli blockade.
We're here to remind people that this is not a game, that these people are fully aware they're risking their lives. They're not reckless. They're doing this because they can no longer bear to live in a world where we don't condemn, punish, or do anything to put an end to a genocide and hold the Israeli government to account.
Many have traveled from across the world to be here, and for them, this is more than just a protest.
In Aboriginal culture, we believe that all children, all babies are sacred. We believe that we have a responsibility to look after them babies, to take care of those babies that don't have their basic needs met, not at a fault of their own, but at the fault of Israel, who does not let aid come in there, who does not protect these babies, and who actively kills and bombs these babies. That is a simple reason, but a strong reason, why I'm jumping on the flotilla.
Organisers say more vessels are expected to join along the route, making it their largest mission so far.
For months and months now, we have been faced with an absolutely horrific situation, and it feels as though nothing is being done, including by those in political power, to respond to this situation, and so citizens' initiatives are being organized, such as these flotillas that aim to break the blockade of Gaza.
Now this time we have over 70 boats, leaving 39 of them from here, Barcelona, and we are mobilizing more boats on the journey, try to get them ready for the sailing. So what we are doing right now is that we are bringing more boats than all the boats combined that ever tried to do this crossing over the Mediterranean to break the illegal siege of Gaza.
While we are cognizant of the risks that come with a mission like this, we're willing to accept them, to draw the eyes of the world back to the people of Gaza and to ensure that people back home know they have a role to play and they have real power in holding our government to account while we sail across the Mediterranean in an attempt to hold Israel to account.
According to the organisers, the flotilla's intended aim is to break the siege so that Palestinians can receive humanitarian aid.
This is a message from the government of Israel. The Global Sumud Flotilla, 50 boats with hundreds of people from 44 countries, is heading to Gaza, carrying terrorist items such as baby formula, medicines, flour. Crew members include Greta, European MPs, doctors and lawyers, clearly all anti-Semites. There's literally no other explanation for wanting to feed starving children. We ask you to ignore this historic moment of international solidarity, which proves some of us are still fucking human. Do not find them on Instagram or follow their journey on the flotilla tracker. Cause how are we meant to take a huge shit on international law? By intercepting the flotilla in international waters, prevent it from delivering humanitarian aid in accordance with the Geneva Convention, and murder its crew like we did in the past? If the world is watching, and if we attempt that, do not be ready to shut shit down worldwide. Sure, genocide scholars, even our own organizations, are saying deliberate starvation, targeting doctors and hospitals, displacing millions, and destroying 90% of houses, preventing people's return, killing entire families, multiple generations, and thousands of children legally constitutes genocide. But remember, past genocides, bad. Genocides in your own lifetime, complicated. Thanks to all the governments who are leaving it to these civilians to uphold international law, especially our pedo-loving sugar daddy fuckbag who lets us do what we want, even bomb Qatar. And props to Australia for selling us parts of weapons. Thank you for your complicity. Now send us more money and ammo, you pieces of shit.
ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك لك لا تشم تراب بلادي وتسمع أحجار ومشتاق ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك لك لا تشم تراب بلادي بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك، كيف البحر بيضحك لك.
ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك لك، لا تشم تراب بلادي تكتب أحجار ومرد. ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك لك، لا تشم تراب بلادي. سوار لحالي يلا سوار.
ميل على شاطئ حيفا خدلك من رمل وتذكار صورة بشوارع يافا، على صورة لعبها مشوار. ميل على شاطئ حيفا خدلك من رمل وتذكار صورة بشوارع يافا، على صورة لعبها مشوار. ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر، كيف البحر بيضحك لك.
ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك لك، لا تشم تراب بلادي
ترسم أحجار ومجد. ميل على بلدي لا تشوف كيف البحر بيضحك لك، لا تشم تراب بلادي.